The June Consumer Price Index coming out today. Inflation running at 2.7%, right in line with expectations. But the media minions and the left-wing lunatics crying tariff doom. Anyway, despite the fact that inflation, not tariff related. And they were just trying to give Jay Powell and his cronies another excuse not to cut interest rates.
So you can understand why President Trump has had it up to here with Jay Powell in his rate game, writing, Fed should cut rates by 3 points, very low inflation, $1 trillion a year would be saved. The flop of a Fed chair has gone from too late Powell to way too late Powell.
Jerome Powell is too late. He's way late. Interest rates should be coming down. We have a very, very successful country. We should have the lowest interest rate anywhere in the world, and we don't. Jerome Powell has done a terrible job, and frankly, I don't think he could do a worse job. He's called everything wrong.
Yep, that's right. President Trump out front pushing for lower interest rates for you. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the conversation shifts toward Jay Powell's replacement. According to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, quote, there's a formal process that's already starting, and there are a lot of good candidates inside and outside the Federal Reserve.
Yeah. Enter the Wall Street freakout. J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon saying on an earnings call today that the independence of the Fed is absolutely critical, expressing worry about undermining the Fed's credibility.
Really?
Trump's the one undermining its credibility? Jamie. Or perhaps it's the Fed's own follies.
Or shall we just look at the Humpty Dumpty colossal failure of the $2.5 billion Federal Reserve headquarters renovation, $700 million over budget, shelling out cash on things like rooftop gardens and VIP elevators. Jay Powell, who has lost, let me see, $235 billion on his watch at the Federal Reserve, has now asked for an inspector general to review this project. Joining us now is Florida Senator Rick Scott. Senator, Jay Powell wants the Fed's inspector general to look at this project, an inspector general that was picked by the people in the Federal Reserve, not by the president, and an inspector general who was not approved by the Senate. It is a ruse. It's a joke.
Well, think about this. I made a little chart here. Donald Trump is absolutely right. Jay Powell is bad for the country and complete failure. His balance sheet, because of Jay Powell, not because of prior chairman, his balance sheet is worth $1 trillion less in assets and liabilities. Just last year, you're talking about the over $200 trillion. Last year, he lost $77 billion. You know, before Jay Powell, the Federal Reserve made money every year. Yep. And you know, this office building that they're redoing, they're spending money it's almost $2,000 a square foot. That's, I think, 4 times what it takes to redo a Ritz-Carlton. And then an independent inspector general, I have a bill for this. The inspector generals do nothing. They've had insider trading. They've had regulatory problems. Nobody's held accountable there. Nobody's held accountable there. So, new inspector general, we've got to get a new chairman. We've got to get a Federal Reserve that takes care of America.
So, Senator, by the way, we know some Florida builders that could do that for a lot less per square foot, don't we? But with all of this going on, is there any chance of getting Jay Powell out of the job before May 15th? And if so, how can it be done?
Well, I mean, Jay Powell needs to resign. He's failed. I mean, look, maybe he gave it a college try, but everything he's touched, the balance sheet's underwater. He's losing money every year. He can't put together a team. There's no accountability. There's never been any accountability there. Nobody gets fired. You know, Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic, they failed. Not one person at the Federal Reserve got fired. Not one person. So Jay Powell's got to leave. He should leave today and let the president come up with somebody that's going to do a much better job.
He was half of the vice that created the cost of living crisis that squeezed every single American under Joe Biden's watch. And then he had the audacity to serve up a tasty, fat interest rate cut right before the election last year, but then has refused to cut interest rates this year, Senator. And the total losses, as I mentioned, are north of $235 billion, which should have been remitted to the Treasury Department. That's our money. Final word to you, Senator.
Dagen, it's more than that. I mean, because they should have been sending money every year. So they haven't sent money in the last 3 years. They should have been sending about $80 to $100 billion a year to the Treasury, and they're not sending anything to the Treasury. So he is a complete fiscal disaster.
Amen. Great to see you, Senator Rick Scott.
to see
You be
you.
well.
Bye,
Come
Dagen.
back soon.
Bye, David. Bye-bye.